I am Morris Abram. 13 years ago, I was diagnosed as having acute myelogenous leukemia, the most dangerous, ravaging, and certainly fatal form of that terrible disease. I was told that by a compassionate friend and doctor whom I had gone to for a simple routine examination. I was startled. I made an early decision that while I might be dragged to my grave by leukemia, I certainly wouldn't walk there. And I determined to look for the best medical help, and I was determined also, if it were possible, for one person to live to be that one person. Here it is, 13 years later. I've been free of the disease for the last 13 years. I do not even see a doctor for my former disease. I am in good health. I do all the things I used to do before the disease and more. I'm a happy man. I'm a healthy man. And I am here to tell you that that is possible for you too, if you do, as I did, seek good therapy from the best centers that are acquainted with the newest methods of treatment, and also resolve not to die, and resolve to cooperate in a shared relationship with your doctor and to fight. But without that determination, I do not believe that I would have been here today. But with that determination, you can join me and countless others who've had a similar experience. When I was in the hospital, Mount Sinai overlooking Central Park, I would think and concentrate on the fact that daily I played in that park baseball with my 11-year-old son. And I suppose the thought that I must return to that park, must play baseball again, must feel the wind and see the trees and touch his body. I felt that that was absolutely necessary, even if I could survive only long enough to do that once again. One doesn't realize how much those simple pleasures mean in terms of creating the determination to live. However, my doctor, who had to deliver to me this, what he thought was a fatal verdict, chose to do so in the darkness of an evening, calling me to come to his office, not telling me what I had, but saying rather ominously, "Let's talk at 6 o'clock." For some reason, I don't know why, I said, "Do I have leukemia?" He said, "Let's talk." When I got there, the lamp was low, the shades were down, his face was ominous. He looked like he was dying as he pronounced the fatal verdict. And I said to him, "What does one do? What is the treatment?" Oh, he said, "The treatment is worse than the disease. The treatment is chemotherapy, dreadful chemotherapy, harsh chemotherapy. In fact," he said to me, "Morris, I think the treatment is worse than the disease." And the clear implication was that if he had this disease, at my age, which was then 54, he would submit to it and sleep quietly away with pneumonia or with some other infection, which is the inevitable end product of an untreated disease. I told him that I was determined not to do that, and I then went to seek the very best doctors in the very best centers. At that time, I chose to go to Mount Sinai. Now, one of the things that I emphasize to all friends who have any kind of cancer is, don't go to a surgeon to be treated for cancer. Don't go to a radiotherapist. Don't go to a chemotherapist. Don't go to a Scientologist. Go to an oncologist, a person who is a generalist in the treatment of the disease, who will use all of the remedies, or none of them, in combination each with the other, but who has an overall view and a comprehensive view of the problem and a commitment to no one particular therapy. I was extremely lucky to be in the hands of a great oncologist. He was a man who gave me incredible hope. I don't think he ever felt that I was going to succumb as most of his patients had succumbed, and as indeed practically every patient who ever had the disease in 1973 succumbed. He kept telling me, "We're going to lick it, we're going to lick it," and he kept encouraging me day by day. Now, not only was I encouraged by that, I was encouraged by the fact that I did not believe for a moment that I was ready to die. I admitted that cancer could drag me to the grave, but I wasn't going to walk. There was no way that I was going to walk to the grave. I felt my life was incomplete. I had a child who was still 11 who needed me desperately. I had a child who was 17 about to enter college who needed me desperately. And I'll tell you this, even your grown children, you'll learn if you have this kind of experience, need you just as much as the young ones. And I had this love to live for. I also felt that many parts of my active life in public affairs had not been completed, and I had been in somewhat of a funk for the last 2 years prior to the diagnosis. I'd been down. As a matter of fact, it's rather interesting that my wife had given me a color test which indicates one's moods by the choice of the colors on a chart in sequence. Shortly before I was diagnosed, and this color test showed that I was very depressed. I didn't know that I was depressed, but the reading of the chart was very clear. You are depressed. Interesting also to note that after I was in remission from the disease, after this dreadful treatment, after all my hair was gone, after my teeth were loose, after every bone in my body ached, after I was lost 20 pounds, she gave me the test again. And I was no longer in depression. I was shown to be, on this rather scientific test, a very optimistic person. And I've remained an optimistic person ever since. The disease did not get me down. I got the disease down. And I make no claim of any special qualities in myself. I only claim that if a person is determined not to let the disease get them down, there is a fighting chance with help. I do not wish to be understood by you or anybody to think that you can cure cancer yourself. You cannot. You have to have the assistance of the most skilled and most learned physicians and therapists available. But with their help and your cooperation and your determination and with a will to live and with something to live for, you too can win.